Welcome into the Players Club, presented by Pepsi. The Players Club is presented by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Washington Commanders. And in part by Johnson Kendall Johnson, the official insurance broker and risk management partner of the Washington Commanders, where our passion is your protection. Now for your hosts, London Fletcher, Santana Moss, and Sean Springs.
Welcome to another edition of the Players Club. I'm London Fletcher, joined as always by my man Santana Moss, a.k.a. Cowboy Killer. We got Sean Springs, a.k.a. Bluefoot, in the building. All right, man. Week one didn't go exactly the way we wanted it to go against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. But we still going to stick to the script and do what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're still going to give out our dubs of the week. And, you know, this dubs of the week, it could be a player that you felt like played well. You wanted somebody in particular. I'm going to start with you, Blue. Who was your dub of the week?
You're right. We didn't get the victory, but we got to see what everybody's anticipating, been waiting for. My guy's Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Had, he had 88 rushing yards, 2 TDs, completed over 70% of his passes. Now, I know the outcome wasn't a win.
Right.
But it's a win when you get a franchise quarterback. We got us a player, guys.
Yeah.
We got a guy, and I don't want him to keep rushing, get his helmet knocked off like it did.
we got to get that fixed.
We're going to get that fixed. We got to learn how to slide because we had problems in the past with a quarterback who didn't slide.
Right.
But for the most part, man, and London, you alluded to it, when you're going against a defense like Tampa, that shows you a lot of different looks, and you still was able to complete almost over 70% of your balls, 2 TDs.
No interceptions.
No interceptions.
No turnovers.
And that's your first start in NFL. I take that as a win.
Yeah, no doubt. I like it, too, because you got to think about it. It's one of the things that we just want to see this team, their first outing together.
Right.
We hadn't seen them all preseason together as a unit. And, it's no more victories in our game. We all know that. But I think when you look at the bright side of things, when you just look at what he showed and displayed, he didn't second guess himself. Sure you want to see more. Sure you hope he do this and do that. But when you're thinking and you're thinking fast and you're making those decisions, processing things fast and doing what he did by going forward, I can live with that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I can live with you going forward and then backwards. We've been around quarterbacks that have went the other direction and caused us and put us in a world of you know what. So yeah, I love that, for a dub of the week. And I'm gonna go with my guy. To counter that is B-Rob. We got a chance to talk to B-Rob on the show last week. We talked about how we was looking forward to seeing him be the back that we wanted to see for so many years now because we didn't feel like last year was a great year when it comes to just, opportunities for him.
Right.
And he went out there and displayed that, man. It's funny that B-Rob could have easily had 3 touchdowns.
Easily.
He got tackled to the one. He dove. He tried his hardest to get in there to the one and had 1 touchdown. He started the season off with a touchdown. In the past game, man, he was just vital, man. I mean, I can tip my hat off to his counterpart too, Eckler, with that. But just B-Rob, man, for what he's going to bring to this team, especially when these guys grow together a little bit more, week after week, getting a little more familiar with each other. I can't wait, man. So that's why I gave him the dub of the week.
Yeah, and I really liked what those guys did, both him and Eckler, in the as pass blockers and blitz pickup.
Yeah.
Man, those they had some hellacious blocks when those linebackers was running, coming up and blitzing, and also safety. So things that the average fan, unless the broadcast, who's ever doing the analysis, unless he points that out, man, it could go unnoticed.
Yeah, go unnoticed.
Those guys were outstanding in pass blocking as well.
No doubt.
The guy I'm gonna give my dub to the week is Quan Martin.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know the defense didn't have a great day.
Yeah.
Great showing. Some things, obviously you get some of those sacks, the day looks a lot differently. But from a standpoint, the way you want to play free safety, being the last line of defense, coming up, making tackles, Quan was outstanding. I mean, he wasn't just coming up making, short tackles. He was making some of the best tackles I've seen
in the open field.
In the open field.
In the open field.
Yeah, it was outstanding. So I'm gonna get Quan my dub of the week.
Fellas,
Yeah.
it's time to take a trip down memory lane
Okay.
with drive time.
I was about to say back down memory lane. you shot Tanner.
Tanner's too young. He's too young for that. He's too young for that, man. He's too young for that.
I'm about 3 years
Tanner
younger
got
than you.
an old soul though.
Come on, man. Come on now. It's time for Drive Time, presented by Eastern Automotive Group. Any car, any way, for everyone since 1988. All right, fellas. Speaking of taking a trip down memory lane, if you guys can remember this, because I know both of you guys, you're talking about me being young. You might say when it comes to you guys coming into the NFL, do y'all remember what it was like, any game, any year, of what was y'all preparation, y'all mindset like going into that first home opener?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a real good one.
That's a good one.
I always love the opening game of the season in general, but that first home game, I felt like
something
was more
different about
special.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the drive up to the drive into the stadium. You're seeing all the fans out there tailgating in the parking lot. It just brings, like, you realize this is real football as you're getting ready. I don't know for you guys, but for me, it started even when I woke up that morning, leaving getting breakfast at the hotel and all that, driving to the stadium. Man, it was just a different feeling coming into the stadium, knowing like, all right, it's showtime.
Time to go.
It's time to go. Time to rock and roll.
You're absolutely right. And for me, home was special. It's because on the road, it's hostile and it's a little easier. I think it's easier for the defense on the road
To communicate
and talk and do our thing. But when you playing at home, that's when the defense is loud. I love starting off in the morning. My routine was I'm gonna look at the Washington Post and it better show some favorable matchups. They better show.
You was the guy that read the newspaper.
I actually read the matchups. I wanted to know. Like,
of course he did. He wanted to see his name in there too.
I want to see what they thought was good.
What they're saying about it.
But
let me see they talk about blue. Let me see they talk about blue a little bit in here.
So get to the stadium, but you're right. When you roll down those windows in the car and the fans are screaming.
So you rolling down your windows?
Oh yeah. You know why? You know why I roll down the window? Because I need to smell the barbecue. I needed to feel like I was part of the tailgate. But that home game, man, and the first time you run out there for a defensive player and you hear how loud that crowd gets for the opposing team.
Yeah.
I love that feeling because then it's quiet when we're on the road, right? But for home, it's all about the defense.
Yeah.
Baby.
Well, one of mine that stick out is one of my most recent years as far as playing. That was 2012. Okay. We started similar. We went on the road the first game to New Orleans. And then we came home and played Cincinnati Bengals for our home opener, but it was the second game. And it's crazy because
that was the second game?
Yeah, it was the second game. It was the second game of that season.
Okay.
And the reason why I knew this because I scored the first home game touchdown for Robert. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I had that stuff in the back of my head, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I did that. You know what I mean? Because I know Pierre scored the first touchdown of his career away, and then we came home. I scored the first touchdown, passing touchdown at home against the Bengals. But thinking about that game, I remember it's crazy because it's a lot of games, especially that year, that I visualized what I was going to do. Now, I used to do this a lot when I was in college. We had a guy that specialized in coming talking to us, putting us in dark rooms, telling us to think about what we want to do on Saturdays. And I don't know how he did it, but, bro, some of that stuff used to come true.
Really?
So I believe in it. And I got away from it as a pro. And for some odd reason, that particular year was a year, it was a lot of things that had changed for me playing-wise. And I wanted to get back to that old Tanner, so I started visualizing this stuff. And I remember saying, my suite is right here. I knew my suite was in that end zone that's going into our locker room, but to the other side, my suite was above the visitors' locker room tunnel. Rather.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to score in this section because my kids will all be right there. And I had all my kids to the game. And I remember saying, I'm going to score. It's vital that I score here so I can look up and know I'm right there. And it happened that way, bro. And I'm like, dang, I saw this the night before. I visualized this. And for it to happen that day, man, it was not like no other. You know?
Hey, man, when you were talking about sitting in the dark room, That brought back a memory for me. This goes back to college, though.
Right.
So
I think we all had that same guy.
This wasn't even. This me by myself. I was playing college basketball. I'm up at St. Francis University in Pennsylvania, and for home games, like you had to be at the arena maybe 3 hours before, and my dorm room was, probably let's call it a 5-minute walk to the arena. I used to sit in my chair like this in my room in the dark and just kind of visualize it. But the crazy thing is, I don't know why I had this. I would have a baseball bat
What?
on my lap.
For what?
I don't know, man.
He always wanted to hit somebody. Hey, he always wanted to hit somebody.
That didn't tell me why I wasn't scoring like I wanted to score. Thinking back, I even had a baseball bat on my head.
You want to smoke, man. You want to smoke. He was a basketball player talking about.
That wasn't mine. I wasn't under the right mindset going into a basketball game.
Thinking back, though, so getting back to what we're talking about, memory lane a little bit.
Memory lane.
What were some of the memories of your Giants matchups that stands out to you?
I love playing the Giants. For some reason, I hated the Giants, I feel like, more than the Cowboys. Because for some reason, I felt like they were a little bit more arrogant.
Oh, 100%. They had that New York arrogance swag with them, right?
Yeah, I felt like they beat us a little bit more than the
they probably beat up on us more than any other team, too, in our division.
I always loved going against the Giants. Feel like I always had really good games against them. Was able to, catch a few passes from Eli Manning. That was a good thing. But I can remember we were playing the Giants in New York, and they had 3 offensive linemen, interior offensive linemen, outstanding. Chris Snee who was Coughlin's son-in-law. Yep. Sean O'Hare, the center, and a kid named Sherbert. Outstanding players, and they used to run power all the time.
What year are we talking about? Who was running? Brandon Jacobs there?
It was Brandon Jacobs and maybe Ahmad Bradshaw, I believe.
Was that 08?
07, 08, 09, something like that.
It might have been that 017 because they had Bradshaw too.
So they run power O, and I see it. Now, Chris Snee is coming to pull and block me. I see him in the hole. I cut him at the knees. Creative pile. He get mad. London, don't cut me at the knee, whatever. F you. This is a family show.
Yeah.
So he come back about 3 plays later. They run it again. Man, I hit him. I try to give him knee surgery the next time I hit it. Boy, I
tore him up.
They was hot then. All 3 of them tried to get me the rest of the game.
Yeah, I bet.
Because the worst thing he could have done was let me know that he didn't like that. Yeah, but I enjoy going against them Giants.
How about yourself?
The Giants, I think one reason I like playing against the Giants, I felt like when you played against the Giants, especially, our earlier Coach Gibbs, the Giants had that arrogance you were talking about. Yeah. They had that arrogance like, we're going to come in here and big boy you.
Yeah.
Right. Like what? Like, because they had OC, they had Mike, Strahan was going to talk, Tuck and those guys. And then on the offense side of the ball, they had Shockey, Toomer, and Plex. So they were big.
They had some players.
They
had
like
some
Giants.
Like Stu said, they're Giants.
They were Giants.
So I always felt like that was one of those games like, okay, you're going to come in here and you're going to show us, but we're going to show you what we got. Yeah. So they played our style of football, which Coach Gibbs always said, that's Washington Redskin football. Yeah. So that was one thing. Another thing I like and got me excited because I'm a superstar. I love playing. Hey, for y'all out there.
You wanted to be in New York?
I wanted to be in New York playing in the big lights, baby, the Big Apple. So when you play in New York, and Tanner, because you was at the Jets.
Yeah.
I see why they have it's a little buzz in the air when you go to New York. Yeah. Little, especially late in the years, a little brisk people out there, the stars out there. So I had to perform, especially under the lights. If you play them at night or something. So I like playing against the Giants. I like beating the Giants. Unfortunately, we didn't beat them a lot, but I like beating them.
Well, mine is crazy. I got a fun stat for you guys.
Yeah.
So, and this is for both times I played against them at home in 2 different places. So this is me playing against them in New York, or when I played with the Jets, we was the home team. We shared the stadium.
Same stadium. Right? Yeah, home team.
We shared the same stadium with the Giants, but we was the home team this particular game. And then my first year here at home against these guys, y'all won't believe what I did to them twice. And this is probably haven't been done to a team like this from no other player. I'm not sure. I'm just saying
Something crazy.
I haven't heard it.
Yeah. Tell me this one.
I have 3 touchdowns in a single game against them in 2 different places, playing for the Jets.
Wow. Really?
And playing for
That's
TDs.
crazy.
Hey, hold
2
on.
different times
You're
against
not
the same team.
You're not the cowboy killer. You might be the
Giants,
boy.
Giants.
But another crazy thing is,
Giant Slayer.
you know how I have so many yards against the Cowboys, so they call me the Cowboy Killer. Most of my touchdowns against one single team against the Giants.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's crazy
I
when
can
you
see
start
that.
looking up these things about yourself, like, because I'm never been big on my accolades. I just hear them from other folks. Someone asked me that the other day. Was like, hey, did you know you scored 3 touchdowns against the same team playing for 2 different teams? And I'm like, yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
That's crazy. Y'all remember 07 when we had to go there? They flexed our game.
yeah.
To
Yeah.
Thursday
Sunday night.
Sunday night. Sunday night. I
And
love
Portis
it.
got off that game. I remember he had
Portis
like
got off.
100 something.
That was the infamous LeBron Landry.
No, that wasn't that game. That wasn't that game. That wasn't
Sean
that game.
Sean had just left us that year.
No,
He played that game though.
Sean had passed
He
away.
passed that. Yes, what I'm saying. He
Yeah.
left us that year.
But LeBron was here.
Oh, he
That
was
was the
here
game.
still. Okay.
Smoot got carried off. Smoot got ran over by Brandon Jacobs.
Hold on.
Listen, it was cold. Y'all remember it was cold.
I remember.
that
You
game.
know,
was-
can
it
I
was
tell you the
freezing.
story why Smoot got
you
ran
know what?
over?
No, you got to
Go-
hear the story
go
of
ahead,
how
go-
Smoot was sounded. It was cold out there. Smoot came up, made the tackle, or absorbed the tackle,
Right.
but he was screaming.
He was on his back kicking.
He was on his back
He was on his back kicking. I remember that. But that, you know why that's Smoot's fault though, London?
Why?
Because you know, right before the game started, our defense went out first. It's quiet. And Smoot has been bothering me, bugging me the whole time about talking about something. So I'm like, Smoot, let's talk about it on the bench. He's gonna sit here and give me the stats. Shockey 6'5", Blue, 260. Plexico 6'6", 200. Brandon Jacobs, somebody's gonna get hurt, Blue. I said, Smoot, I swear to you, we just played these guys 2 weeks before, right? We just played them
We played them earlier that year.
or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, Smoot, this is the Giants,
We
bro.
done been here before.
Yeah.
We'd
right?
have been here before. So that's why he get ran over. But you're right, London. He was on his back kicking like a cat, man.
kicking,
Shout out to
crying.
my boy Fred Smoot. Shout out.
Speaking of big moments against the
Yep.
Giants, London, you got 3 interceptions against Eli.
So I got a hat trick against Eli too, huh?
Yeah,
You do?
man. Yeah.
I got Eli 3 times. Never got Peyton, but I got Eli.
Isn't that crazy though? Because, and I don't want to get off subject or topic, but think about how much credit Peyton gets for being the better, I guess you can say,
Brother?
Manny or brother or whatever you want to call it. But as quarterback, Eli beat Tom Brady twice. In the big
Yeah,
game.
that's big
Twice.
time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
Two Super
Eli.
Bowls.
I feel like Eli was perfect for New York with his personality
Yeah.
too.
Right.
When you think about the media and all that,
Yeah.
like his demeanor never changed, whether they were winning or losing.
Right.
He was gonna look the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to get Peyton. Didn't get him, but I got Eli, man, a couple times.
What is it about them, man, when it comes to just, I don't know, just having our number? I mean, I look at the widespread of thing. I don't even look at it
Right.
so much as into what they've been doing lately to us. But it's always been tough for us to take those guys down. And it's crazy. The 2 years that we had great matchups against them,
Yeah.
that's the years they won a Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
The years that we beat
Both
them.
years
Right.
we beat them,
Yeah, we
they
beat
won a
them.
Super Bowl those years. So it's like, what's up with that?
I don't know. I don't know what it was because when I was with the Rams and when I was also with Buffalo, man, we used to beat the Giants. Like I didn't. They wasn't causing us any problems. And I get here, I'm like, we cannot beat
Got
this
a problem,
team,
man.
man.
Well, because the way I think the team was built, you know, and I think Coach Gibbs, for example, and Coach Coughlin had the same type of mindset, which is it's going to be physical football, right? So when you think about the Giants' defense, you don't really remember the corners, even though they had Will Allen and some of their guys.
Yeah.
You don't remember them.
Will Poole.
But you remember the corners.
Yeah.
But really,
I got to remember. That's all I
yeah.
face.
But
you
you
know what I mean?
remember that defensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember the pass rushers.
And you remember the offensive
You remember
line.
the linebackers.
And their team and their linebackers, and their team was built, and we stole Griff from them.
Yeah.
We
Right.
took Cornelius from them, and they still was built with pretty physical team. So they just, I quite honestly, they just had some better players than we
Yeah,
did at the time, and they kind of beat us.
I will say like when you talking about physicality, like I've always took that from every game we played against them. Right. Even on the outside, like as much as you want to sit here and we call out names all the time about different cornerbacks, but I tell folks time and time again, look, you can put an average guy on the outside, you can put an okay guy on the outside, you can put your son, if he know anything about being a DB, on the outside and line him up with the Giants' defensive front, and it's gonna be a hard day.
Oh, man.
It was always a hard. Bro, I used to look back and see my quarterback always in distress. I'm like, bro, I can't get into my route, bro. I couldn't get into my. I used to get to the point to where I remember one game, and I'm not sure if it was Gibbs. I think it was Gibbs was still here. We let Jason just run 2 minutes. That's when we started moving the ball.
Right.
We moved the ball in 2 minutes. And I'm sitting there like, you mean Tim? We got to get in, hurry up. And it was like, this is what we're going to do against them. And it's crazy. We got ourselves back into the ball game with them running the 2 minute. And we ran that 2 minute from the second half on through. And I was so pissed because I'm like, we done caught all these plays during the week. I done kicked my behind. They done kicked my behind, drove me up and down the field. And now we got to run 2 minute drill, which is like basically self-explanatory. Like if you're on the left side, stay there, you run a set of routes. If you're on the right side, stay there, run a set of routes.
Do you remember your first game against the Giants when you came here?
The only thing I remember was I just remembered that they were just sound. I remember who their players were. I didn't think Tiki was outstanding,
right?
But I thought he was really good.
Mm-hmm. That was your first year was 04.
04 when we came.
Y'all were outstanding defensively too.
Yeah, we were outstanding. Yeah. We were really good.
Right behind us where I was.
Y'all made playoffs.
Yeah, we played 166 plays more than everybody else.
Still, we was number 2 ranked defense. Y'all was number 3.
Well, if you took the same amount of plays, we were number 1 ranked defense. Right? But anyway,
how you know all these numbers?
Because I know the numbers, man. I don't forget the numbers.
But y'all couldn't get off the field, so I like it.
Yeah, the offense. We had to go get Santana. We had to create some offense. But I just remember, man, just like how sound those guys were in their scheme. They never scored a lot of points, but they scored when needed.
Yeah.
They kicked a big field goal when needed. Yeah. They played a great field position game when needed. So playing here in FedEx, and I think we split with the Giants my first couple years, but it was a sore one.
Yeah.
Dude, Tanner, think about this. Got your stats. I don't know how many games you played total against the Giants, but in your career against the Giants, you got over 1,000 yards and 11 TDs.
I got like 20 games against them because you think about it twice a year.
That's a heck of a
twice a year for 10 years.
That's a heck of a number. Some numbers against them boys.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's crazy because I didn't know none of this until I started reading up on the stats, and I'm like.
You think it was because you familiar with New York? What was it?
No.
That you felt comfortable in New York or something?
I don't know. You know what's crazy about it?
Right.
And so Will Allen, you spoke of Will Allen. I played against him at Syracuse and Miami in the same, we was in the Big East Conference back then. And it was always odd to me, like, damn, every time I lined up against the Giants, he's out there.
Yeah.
So it was familiar. It was like knowing a guy that probably deep down inside hates your guts. Because most DBs don't like the receivers. They don't tell you that. They dap you off like they're your friend.
I used to tell them I hate
But I knew like deep down inside, Will probably say, boy, I'm tired of Reggie and Tanner. I can just tell. I had that. How somebody give you energy like, I'm going to say what's up to this dude because he ain't beefing with me. But I don't really mess with him. And so me being that person that I'm an energy guy, you know what I mean? I tell folks all the time, bro, I can sense when you got a little something on your chest about me. I never really took that to the field, but I always played well. And it seemed like everybody that I played well against as an individual that I had godly numbers on, it always came back to me, oh, boy, that guy used to not like you, la, 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 la. So it's funny that both of those games that I had those numbers, those 3 touchdowns, once when I was with the Jets.
1,000 yards, that's more than 1,000 yards, that's more than just 2 games.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, as a whole, he was a guy that was sticking me most of the time,
All right, cool, fellas. Now, it's time to set the tone, man. It's time to set the tone. Brought to you by Johnson Kendall Johnson, the official insurance broker and risk management partner of the Washington Commanders, where our passion is your protection. We're about to set the tone.
Yep.
Take a look at how our team, the Commanders, can set that tone against the New York Football Giants and our home opener. How can we be successful running the football against this Giants team?
I think one of the things that stand out to me is just you have to, like, even watching the film from the Tampa game, I saw a couple of sets that I love when I saw the two tight ends on the field at the same time. Out the gate. The only thing we did wrong with that one, we threw a pass in it and the ball went, we lost 17 yards, 15 yards, whatever it may be.
I was a little nervous.
It was a little nervous. But sometimes you got to start that way. You know what I mean? You got to crawl before you walk. And I think, he learned right then and there. Okay, what else can go worse than that? It already happened. But go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about. I was about to talk about Aaron Jones, but Aaron Jones, he was able to run the ball against the Giants last week.
So just thinking about what we have, in Eckler and B-Rob. Man, I think B-Rob and Eckler both scrapped for some great yardage last week against a pretty good Tampa front. And like folks getting their stuff and they undergarments in a bunch right now thinking about
after 1 week, man.
After 1 week, but I'm like,
Tampa was a good team.
I'm not trying to get too far ahead. Tampa, like Fred said this all week. Last week, this is a playoff caliber team that we're facing that been together for a while. So it wasn't a lot of new for them. It might be a player or two missing. You ain't have Shaq. You ain't have one more or two. I think you ain't have White, the other linebacker.
Yeah, he's no longer there.
But you got most of the nucleus still there. Yeah. And I heard folks on the radio saying they had two of their cornerbacks go out. What we just talked about. If your defensive front is sound, it don't matter who's lined up on the outside, as long as they play within the keys. So, man, I love what we saw last week, but it's gonna be tougher this week going against some pretty good fronts. And also,
when you talk about sets, it starts with Aaron Jones was able to get to the edge.
To the edge, he got outside.
And I thought some of our sets when you double teaming the tackle, I think Dexter Lawrence is a problem. He's a man. You better. Cosmi, we got guys up for it. But it's not like if you single block him on a consistent basis, he will be a disruptive force. Yeah. So I think what we can do is that kind of like that duo action, double team up to the linebackers. Yeah. I think their guys are built more, especially Thibodeau and guys like that. They like to get upfield. I think we can double team, scrape up to the linebackers. And establish the run because you're gonna have to count for the interior.
You absolutely
right.
You talking about setting the tone
right
now. You got to get Dexter Lawrence blocked, man.
You got to get him blocked.
He was a mother over there playing with Dallas. So.
Yeah, when you look at I watched the film against the Vikings. Now their defense in general didn't play great, but that defensive front led by him,
right?
Man, he was a problem. He was a problem early in that ball game. So definitely got to get him blocked, double team blocked, try to crease the edges. I would like to see, and hopefully the time of possession is a little bit more balanced.
Yep.
Like in our game against Tampa Bay, we couldn't sustain drives, and then the Buccaneers conversely were able to dominate time of possession.
Yeah.
So we weren't able to give B-Rob and Eckler a bunch of carries. They finished the game with only 14 carries.
Right.
14, 16.
Jaden had 11 rushes or 16 rushes, and most of them were scrambles. But figuring out a way to let those guys get a lot more touches. Definitely over 20 touches. I would love to see those guys have
well, London, now that we had to see Jaden on the field, he had the 88 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
I think now that the Giants have seen that, does that change the way the front seven plays, knowing that he can scramble? Are we going to be aggressive? Because there could be a dive with the quarterback keep or RPO, what we like to say the RPO game. Do you think that plays a factor for the Giants now?
No question. I think it plays a factor for any team they're facing going forward. I think that's that's something that we talked about earlier this week. It's just going to cause certain DNs and linebackers that normally see things and like they want to hit that hole.
Yeah,
they got to hesitate. They got to make sure that he ain't giving them the okie doke. He ain't giving them the banana in the tailpipe. And that's what you saw in that game against Tampa. Like they played great, but before you know it, Jaden got the ball. He's going in for the touchdown. So I think it's going to give us the advantage in that sense of knowing that when we play great guys like a Lawrence, like a Thibodeau, like a Burns, when you play guys who are great at doing what they do best, running up that field and crashing things, they got to stay true. They got to hesitate a little bit. They got to give you the benefit of the doubt, knowing that you got two lethal guys you got to worry about.
Yeah, and that should open up more running lanes for the running backs on the zone read stuff. But when you think about most of Jaden's damage and his success running the ball were on scrambles.
Exactly.
So what I'll see is, and I kind of looking at the Giants, they got a new defensive coordinator in Shane Bowen. He came from Tennessee a year ago. where Wink Martindale, the Giants defensive coordinator,
was very aggressive.
Very aggressive, loved to blitz. The Giants, they didn't blitz a lot in their first game. Played a lot of more four-man rush, just letting those guys kind of get at the quarterback. You'll see those pass rushers have to be a lot more disciplined in their rush lanes, knowing the fact that, hey, Jaden can hurt you rushing the football. He's not afraid to scramble on you. He's not afraid to tuck it and run. I think by them playing a little bit more zone coverage, maybe there'll be more opportunities in the passing game. And as we look at Jaden, you know, he completed 70%, a little over 70% of his passes.
Right.
We know about the rush yards. Tanner, do you think these receivers can be successful against the Giants? And if so, what do they need to do to be successful?
Well, I think they could be successful. I think just knowing that, and I'm a little different. You know, I'm glad you asked that question because throughout my years, you know, we always talk about, you know, you bring this up a lot, being that you play with some greats at the wide receiver position. Mose in Buffalo, Torrey Ho and Bruce in St. Louis. And then you got here with me and you was like, damn, Tanner, you on that caliber, but I never saw you, you know, moan for the ball.
Right, exactly.
And to each his own. I feel like that wasn't a part of my game. I know doing that and nothing going to put the spotlight on me and something bad going to happen is my fault. But, and we have guys like that right now. Terry is a star amongst a lot of stars in this league, and you never really see him moaning unless it's just you hear about it from somebody in the paper. But what you do to me to get to what we're trying to do in the backfield as far as running the ball, you got to hit those guys on the outside because now you're getting that defense to give you that room that's needed for you to say, okay, we gotta do something about stopping this pass game. And I think it goes hand in hand. You know, I'm big on, you know what I mean, starting getting our run game going so the pass game can open up, and vice versa. You know, nowadays this league is full of, we're going to sit back and throw the ball around. But I think that allows us, you know, especially in Clifford's run game package, or you can say Anthony Lynn's, you know, he have the run game package with Cliff offense. We should have a lot more time to run the ball and set up our passing game because I think, you know, what I saw from Tampa, what they did was they disguised stuff so much to where it caused the young guy to, and that's why I said I love the fact that he didn't sit back there and beat on the ball all day, trying to see something that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't see what I like, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Going forward, I'm sure teams are going to present that because they see just what we saw. Oh, he had a guy too, but it wasn't clear to him. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to copycat and say,
oh, yeah,
we're going to throw these same coverages out there at him, and let's see what he do. Now, with that being said, if he hit that pass to Terry down the sideline, it changed the whole ball game. It gets you now in your secondary. Oh, they can get behind us. Now let us back up a little bit. Let's change this cover two to we're gonna do a two under. We're gonna drop a little bit more. Now you drop a little bit more. I can get my running backs out there. I can keep dunking the ball off them. So a lot of stuff goes into place when you want those lanes to open up. But first, like I said before, you got to be able to establish a kind of balance with both the run and the pass. And I think last week we was more trying to run it, and then we started checking down, which those check down passes are like a run. You know what I mean? To us, you know, those slip screens and those check downs is considered a run in this league.
Yeah, no, I was and even within that, Tanner, or in Blue, you can appreciate this. I think going into that game, because Tampa blitzed so much, you was like, okay, we got to get the ball out quick. We got to. So if you see, there wasn't a lot of. I mean, we had a couple shots downfield, but it was a lot of like screens.
Right now, tight end.
Right now,
running back.
Running back passes, things like that to get it out of his hands. But he will be. They'll open up, and he also will have a better understanding between what's open in the NFL and what's open in college. And like, okay, you know what? Take those chances. I know you like, oh, do I want to throw and not want to turn the football over? Because there were some opportunities. Yeah, it was. And he'll look back, he'll be like, man, dang it.
And that's what you say. You gotta live with that. The fact that it's my first game. Let me go off of what I feel. You know what I mean?
And each week we get more tape on the opposing team.
Yeah.
So we got to see Minnesota against the Giants, right? Sam Darnold completed almost 80% of the balls. He killed them, right?
Yeah.
So now we kind of have an idea of what the Giants are working with in the secondary and how they're thinking about playing defense. So it's not, some of the things will be a surprise, but for the most, we got you on tape now.
All right, Blue. So we're gonna stick to defense. We about to go to our defense this time.
Yeah.
Going against Daniel Jones, who's he doesn't play great against a lot of other teams, but he seems to have his best games against us.
What I don't want to hear about.
Last week against the Vikings, though, Daniel struggled, 22 for 42, man, 186 yards, 2 interceptions. Defensively, how can we put pressure on Daniel Jones?
Well, first of all, you have to. Let's talk about the psyche of Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming off a ACL tear, knee injury, right? Last week was his first game. Minnesota had 5 sacks, got after him. You can't let him off the hook, Washington.
Yeah.
He's still thinking about that knee.
Yeah.
We're going to see if he's able to evade the rush.
Yeah.
We're going to put pressure on him. The big boys up front, we got to get something, especially with Daniel Jones. I think in the past when he beat us, he was able to get outside the pocket, make some plays with his legs. He's an athletic kid.
Yeah. Off-schedule stuff, too.
Off schedule. But I noticed when we were able to put interior down the middle pressure on Daniel Jones or anybody who's been able to do that, guess what happened? That ball seems to spray around a little bit. So for us, I expect, we're going to talk about who needs to be disruptive this game. Payne and Allen, interior pressure in his face to see let's see how healthy your knee is, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Payne and Allen and even the defensive line in general.
Right.
Yeah.
They generated a lot of pressure against Baker Mayfield.
Who's a very active quarterback.
Yeah, but they just didn't seal the deal. They didn't close the deal. They weren't able to get him down to the ground. There were a couple, and Deron Payne had several outstanding rushes where he just beat the guard. Yeah. I mean, most quarterbacks are getting sacked, and Baker had an uncanny ability to just slide and avoid the
duck
rush.
underneath.
I know those guys were under fire about not bringing him down. Trust me, I'm feeling like these guys going to finish the job, seal the deal. Because they had, 5 or 6 opportunities to bring him down. They bring him down. They bring him down 3 more times in that ball game.
That's a different ball game.
It's a different ball game.
The complexity of the game.
We're feeling totally different. Tanner, our secondary, man, going against, I know they got a young stud, former teammate of Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors over there. What do you think, how do you think our secondary going to have to be going against these guys and receivers over there?
Man, you can't take them light. I think you look at Neighbors was able to still put up some nice yardage to be a rookie for his debut. Man, he got Odell Beckham hands. It's funny that they was sharing a story about Odell sending them gloves when he was in elementary because he couldn't fit gloves.
Regular gloves.
And Odell they say he got a 2X or 3X. Y'all some grown men. You know what I'm saying? That is ridiculous. But, a guy like Neighbors, man, they have the guy Darius Slayton over there. They have capable guys. You know what I mean? These guys are young. We seen one of those guys that had some good outings against us. I was wondering, was the guy Hyatt still around? I'm not sure.
Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah. He was the speedster that got behind us last year against St. Juice and dropped the pass, but they gave it to him. So don't be surprised if he's in there doing some of the things.
Neighbors can run like that.
No, I know Neighbors can run too.
I
didn't see him in the lineup. I didn't see him
he was in the lineup,
but
those uniforms they had on, it was so hard to seriously, when you look at the coach's copy of it, those uniforms you couldn't tell. It was hard to tell the numbers.
Yeah.
But Neighbors caught like 5 balls.
6 balls.
They had a couple drops in that game. Wandale Robinson. He had like 12 targets.
Yeah.
But also Malik Neighbors, outstanding guy.
Yeah.
There were some inaccurate throws by Daniels in that ball game.
And then you got to think about it too, man. One of the things about this league, and this is the thing about our game that you can tell when you have good coaches, they're able to capitalize off of things that you just don't do well.
Yeah.
Now we put something on tape. We in the secondary. So now it's gonna be a week where they say,
gotta get them off them.
We can get our swagger back or our confidence up against these guys. So that's the mindset of them. You got to have that mindset as a commander in the secondary that these guys gonna come in here thinking that they can do what they did to us once and twice last year, and then what we showed against Tampa. So,
yes, Blue, you're perfect for this question. Talking about cornerback play and leverage and knowing how to make sure you still play to your leverage and all those type of things. How do you carry from the meeting room to the practice field to the games, especially like when, I know I'm supposed to have outside leverage, or I know I'm supposed to have inside leverage. making sure you pay attention to those things and are able to do it in the game. How do you do that?
Well, from an early age, and you coach, we all coach the little league, the number one thing we talk about is alignment and assignment.
First thing.
And that's a priority to you personally and to the coach, because, and you know, being a Greg Williams guy, if you were out of position or didn't align correctly, he would take you out. So I think that's a pride thing. I think guys got to come in and hold themselves personally. Everybody at each position got to hold themselves to a higher standard and do your job. So a lot of it play has to be, you have to be, nowadays we tell the kids, you got to be locked in. You got to be always focused. You got to always be locked in. You got to know your assignment. You got to know your alignment. And but piggybacking off what you were saying, Tanner, you were saying the Giants saw something on tape that we went against, let's be fair. Mike Evans, Hall of Famer, Godwin, good players. So they went against, and Baker Mayfield made some unbelievable throws.
Tom Brady
catches. He was awesome. But that's on tape.
It's on tape. And the last thing, real quickly.
Right.
Pre-snap communication and post-snap communication. So I know, like if you had to be in the nickel, and you and I had to work together, just that pre-snap, if we got two receivers close together, we had to have that communication like, hey, you know.
That's so important.
I forgot our buzzwords that we make, banjo, whatever,
banjo,
in and outs. But the post-snap communication, especially there was a time where you get switch received, a switch route. Right. And the number 3 becomes the number 2, and
some of that is when you in the stadium you can't hear, it's nonverbal, right?
Exactly.
It's nonverbal, but you got to be able to read body language. You got to be able to see the switch route. Or you got to, the post snap led to that. Hey, London, we got too close. We got to wing. We got a high-low concept. You take the low, I'm gonna stay high for it. So we talked about it, and I could react off, you know, all right, you stayed on them longer, you taking a high, so now I got to make the adjustment or whatever it was. So one that comes with being comfortable playing with it in practice.
And
experience, and we talking about it, we discussing. Because you're going to make some mistakes in practice, you correct them in practice. Then when you make the mistakes in the game, you correct them in the game the next week. And hopefully by the time the season goes on, y'all are seamless, y'all communicate, y'all move well.
So it's safe to say communication is always key.
Always key. All right, fellas, great conversation. Sam Cosmi is joining us on the show right after this break. Welcome back to the Players Club. We got a special guest joining us, guard Sam Cosmi.
It's your ice cold player, brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Washington Commanders.
Sam, we appreciate you joining us.
I appreciate you having me.
Big Money Cosmi.
Oh, yeah. That's what I've been getting.
You got a new contract, you got to give him a nickname.
Yeah, that's what I've been getting, man.
Big C, right?
Big C.
Yeah.
Man, speaking of that, man, I know for you, what was it like to be able to sign a 4-year extension?
I mean, like, it's huge. It's like everything that we work towards from just a career base. You know, a lot of us are striving to get to that point, and the fact that I was able to be recognized to you know, invest that much money into me and to invest that type of equity in me. I mean, that's huge, and I take that as an honor and a privilege, just being able to be one of those guys.
And when you think about this is a new regime.
Yeah,
new front office.
Yeah.
New coach, new head coach, new position coaches. They didn't draft you. And for you to finally settle in at guard and had a season that you had, and Santana and I, we talked plenty of times like, man, we hope they sign you, you know, to an extension. And it was quiet on that front. But I think does it mean a lot more knowing that this new regime opted to say, hey, you're one of the guys that we want as a foundation and a building block to our team?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, being the first guy they extend and having that belief and that faith in me, it just means a lot to me. You know, I also was able to show what I'm able to do during training camp too. So it wasn't, hey, they just got here, boom, we saw your tape from last year and like, okay, like we're just gonna extend you. Like I still had to like show them, and I'm still proving them to each and every day that I'm stepping on the.
Was that a mindset with the new coaching staff? Like when you found out you got a new staff, did you feel like I'm gonna show them, or that's?
No, I just hold myself to a standard that I have to, regardless of who's watching me or whatever. Again, last year my contract during that time I still got 31 other teams that I, have to show myself to and do all that, just from a business aspect of things, So regardless of who's watching what, I got eyes on me,
At all times.
Yeah, I got to do my job and do it at a high level.
Speaking of new, if you look back at it, there's been a lot of change around here, especially at the offensive line. I mean, to every man is somebody new. Who is that one guy that's either still there now or that was here when you first got here that has kind of, you can give a little credit and say, man, one of the reasons why I'm at today playing my position is because this guy gave me a little help.
Yeah, I mean, I had 1 year with Brandon Sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was legit.
I mean, pros.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything he did. He was the first guy in the building and one of the last guys out. Like that philosophy, you always hear that. He was truly one of those guys. Mm-hmm. The way he attacked practice, the way he viewed the game and how hard he worked.
Yeah.
Like I took that and I applied it. And when I went to right guard, I mean, I had the playbook in front of me with B.
Yeah.
Right.
I just got to learn from that. So I watched his tape. I was in watching film so much last year just to learn that position, what's the best thing to do. And, obviously I'm not the same player as he is, but like I have my positives as he has his positives and my negatives in which I try to build off of making those positives.
Was it a mind shift for you? You talk about going from tackle to guard.
Yeah.
Right. What changed? What are some of the things that you had to think about different, right? Because although everybody knows they're on the offensive line, but there's still some nuances about each position that you had to think about.
Yeah, it's way more physical when it comes to the physicality of the position. It's way more like it's instant contact. Like boom, you're right there. So that's a whole new world of being used to attack. I'm taking boom, boom, 2 sets. Sometimes I haven't even made contact yet.
Right.
My first set, I'm making contact. It's right there. The battle's right there. So the physicality of it, in different ways of like.
So did you have to prepare your body different, like you saying? Did you anything change?
Well, like this year, I gained 10 pounds.
Okay.
So I went from, I was around 320. I try to get to 330 this year. So just knowing where I am, knowing what I had to do, and keep my athleticism stuff. And I think at tackle, that was a huge thing. Jumping down the guard, I'm used to these really quick guys.
Yeah.
So my athleticism, I feel like helps me in that aspect too.
Tanner, you kind of alluded to this on the offensive line with you being really the only holdover from last year's offensive line as a starter. You got Biotis as a new guy, as a center next to you. You got Allegretti coming over, and then the rookie, Brandon Coleman, who eventually, will be starting left tackle. And a lot of new guys in that position group. How did you guys go about bonding as an offensive line? Because I know you guys, I feel like offensive line, you guys are typically the tightest group on the team.
You got to be. You got to be 5 working as one. And so Nick came from KC with Andrew, so they had that connection there, and like you brought that in, and it kind of all flowed with everybody else. And then Tyler's just such a good guy, easy guy to talk to, just very smart dude, and loves the game. He loves the game. And so being with those guys and BC's been a phenomenal rookie, just an aspect of like, dude, be quiet and just learn and listen to us and do it and just work hard. And he's been doing a great job with that. So you got a group of guys that are just kind of love ball, love what they're doing. And the nice thing is we have experience. So we're able to communicate, hey, you see this, da-da-da-da. So being with this group of guys, it's been amazing. It's been good. And I feel like we always have a good game plan when it comes to going into the week.
Y'all do any fun things over the summer, man, to kind of build that bond?
We would go out, eat all the time. Food is typically how we bond over it. Yeah.
Did you pick up the check yet? Because usually they
we all kind of split it. There's a group of us. It's typically it always works like that. We kind of but we all kind of work together as one. Like I said.
Tell me this though. We can ask you all this football stuff all day. How's the gritty? Because I saw you display it a couple times last year.
Yeah.
Have you worked on it a little more? Because
you know,
People don't know, man, but every time we scored and we just see you prancing around the end, I say, bro, now that's a cool offensive lineman right there.
Yeah, I'll start pulling out more stuff whenever
you got some more.
Something, you know, I want to.
I love that.
When we're up and, you know, doing that, I don't, you know, want to pull anything.
What went into that? Like, did you kind of say to yourself, you predetermined that, or was it just something that just happened?
No, so, yeah, I'm like, we scored that touchdown. I just see a bunch of guys just going at it, you know? I'm like, God forbid, I don't want to get a fine during preseason, you know, and do something dumb. So I was like,
Hey,
perfect time just to gritty.
You just gritty.
Hey, by yourself.
Hey, we had B Rob on the show,
Uh-huh.
and we were saying he was excited because the announcement came out that week about your contract, you being a foundational piece.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said is he looks at you as one of the guys to elevate his game.
Yeah.
So, and when you think about your game, when you talked about Sheriff, who's somebody on the team now that you say, you know, I look to kind of elevate my game? Well, it don't have to be one position. It don't have to be a lineman. Like, it could be anyone.
I mean, the guys I go against, and I mean, but the guys I go against scout team, like, I tell them every day, like, even now, I'm like, those guys, I know it's not a typical answer, but, like, those guys, I'm like, hey, you have to give me the best look you can give me during the week. Like, I will take a hard rep every time.
Oh,
like,
man.
Week of preparation is so important to me. Practice is so important because if you can give me a good look, I'll tell you. I'll praise you. Hey, man, good job. That was a great look. That's what I needed, you know? So if those guys can give me the look that I need, that would just elevate my game getting ready for the game. So, yeah, I hands down to those guys that strap it up and go against the ones every day and are able to give that because, you know, that's a huge help to elevate the game each and every week.
Talk about it, and we want to get on a show. We like to talk about the personal side, man. You changed your family's life, man. Get married, you get a new baby.
Yeah, these 3 years have been such a blessing and so much has changed. I look back to my rookie year and just being by myself and not, you know, in an apartment, just kind of just trying to figure out life, you know, figure out football and everything like that to now have a wife, have a beautiful girl and being able to be hopefully financially stable for the rest of my life, not only for my family, but, you know, for my extended family and stuff like that. So, like, if you would have told me coming to the league that this would be my reality, I'd be like, I hope so. You know, like I that's something I really, you know, hope so. But like to be here, it really shows you what a lot of hard work can do for somebody. So, like I said, I'm a big
100%.
believer in hard work, and you know, if it doesn't pay off, then it's going to pay off down the line. So just keep putting in the work, and good things will come your way.
Oh,
awesome,
man. It's not hard to see why this new regime opted to keep you around and extend you, man. One of my favorite players. I know we feel the same way. Looking forward to watching you the rest of the season and for years to come. Sam, we have all our guests sign this football, so if you wouldn't mind signing this football for us. And as Sam signs his football.
Sorry if Jonathan's took up the whole Tell
Jay thought it was only for him.
He said, I got the one ball, man.
The whole ball, man.
I appreciate
it. But, you know, that's a wrap for this edition of the Players Club. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll check you out next week.